My name is Jasmine Seaman. I'm 32 years old, the oldest child, the emergency contact, the one whose number everyone already has saved under just in case. I manage repairs for a city transit yard, buses that refuse to start in winter, radios that only work if you hit them once and apologize, punch clocks that hate Mondays. I like systems that can be fixed. I like problems that admit they're broken. At home, I fix laptops on my kitchen table and sort leftover screws into baby food jars because I like knowing where things go. I rent a narrow apartment over a sewing shop that smells like starch and old gossip. If you open my freezer, there's ice, dumplings, and a folded envelope labeled taxes. I don't like surprises unless they come with a paycheck. My younger sister is Summer, 27, the favorite since kindergarten. The most enthusiastic crayon user, the child teachers wrote a joy about in report cards. She makes mood boards for a living. Or says she does. Mom calls her our bright spot, like the rest of us are clouds. If I ask about numbers, Mom says, don't be small. If Summer says, I have a vision, Mom claps like there's a studio audience. Summer got engaged to Theo in April. Soft sweaters, big watch, never carries a wallet, posts about the grind from brunch, calls bartender's boss and my mother queen. He talks about money like it's a vibe, not a math problem. The rehearsal dinner was at one of those restaurants with Edison bulbs, succulents, and a private room that looks better in photos than in real life. I wore the only blazer I own, the one that makes me look like I pay my bills early. The table was long and white, like a runway, place cards in gold ink. Everyone already had a drink. I put a card on the gift table, a handwritten note, a small, sensible check, then took the last chair at the end. When the salads came out, the server moved in a smooth loop. Plate for Cousin Dean, plate for Aunt Liv, plate for someone's +1. Then he skipped me. The space in front of me stayed empty. Hey, I said softly, I think you missed one. He glanced at his tablet and winced. I have instructions, he whispered. Family only. I watched him wish he were anywhere else. Before I could answer, my mother leaned around a vase of hydrangeas and smiled like a cat in a window. Jasmine, she said, stabbing arugula, I only ordered food for family. The table did that weird laugh people do when they think something might be a joke and hope it is. Summer adjusted her napkin like it needed surgery. Theo lifted his glass. Don't be sensitive, he said lightly. Tonight's about love. I looked at the space where a plate should be. Am I family or not? I asked. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. The question landed on the table like a coin. Don't do this, Mom muttered. Not here. My chair scraped softly as I stood. I pushed it back in, because even angry, I don't leave messes. The hallway outside smelled like lemons and dish soap. A framed black and white photo threw my face back at me. Decent tie. Tired eyes. A woman who can find the loose bolt in any machine. My phone buzzed. 2 reminders I'd set that morning. Venue balance confirm. Lighting vendor security deposit. Under them sat an unread email from the wedding planner. I didn't open it yet. From behind the door, Theo's laugh popped. She'll be fine, he said to someone. Jasmine's always intense. I stared at my screen until the words stopped swimming. Then I tapped the planner's number. He picked up on the second ring. Cheerful, tired planner voice. Hey, Jasmine, we good for the walkthrough tomorrow? I have a weird question, I said. Shoot. Can a family coordinator remove someone from the head count without the contracting party's consent? There was a pause, the kind where someone sits down. They did it, didn't they? He said gently. Who's the contracting party? I asked. You are, he said. You signed the hall and lighting package through your company account. That's why the rate was good. My eyes closed. So if they cancel my invitation, the deposit stays, he said carefully. The $50,000 is locked to the date. Any charges pending besides what I approved? No, only you can add vendors. They can't, even if they ask nicely. I rested my forehead against the cool wall. Thank you, I said. I'm going to do something else. When I walked back in, the room was mid-toast. Smiles floated over sentences that sounded good but meant nothing. My place was still empty. I sat down and laid my hands flat on the table. Everything okay? Summer asked, eyes on her fork. Yeah, I said. I just needed to remember how to breathe. It didn't start with a plate. It started with a power bill. I was 19 when Mom said, put the electric in your name, just for now. The system likes you. You pay on time. For now is a bridge that never lands. 3 years later, when I tried to switch it back, she cried into a dish towel and said, you don't abandon family. That was the script. And tonight, sitting at a table where even a plate had to be earned, I realized something quietly terrifying. They had been rehearsing this moment for years, and I had been paying for it. After the rehearsal dinner, I didn't sleep. Not because I was angry. Anger is loud. Anger shakes things loose. What kept me awake was recognition. The way you recognize a song you've been humming for years and suddenly realize it's been playing the whole time. It didn't start with the wedding. It didn't even start with summer. It started with the electric bill. I was 19 when Mom stood in the kitchen, holding a stack of envelopes like they were fragile. "Can you put the power in your name?" she asked. "Just for now. The system likes you. You pay on time." At 19, I thought for now meant weeks. At 21, I learned it meant until you stop asking. When I finally tried to switch it back 3 years later, she cried into a dish towel and said, "You don't abandon family." That sentence became law. Every bill that followed used the same language. Temporary, emergency, one time. None of them were. Summer learned the second line early. "You're so rigid," she'd say, smiling like it was affection. "You're good at this stuff." By 21, Summer had tried college for 2 semesters. Then content creation. Then wellness coaching. Then an MLM she called community-based marketing. Then she was building a brand. She was very good at looking busy while asking for money. Her texts were always casual, my cards being weird. "Can you book my flight? I'll Venmo Friday." Mom stressed, "Be a gentleman." Me, "How much?" Summer, "Not much." Me, a number. Summer, 347.16. "Promise I'll pay you back." I kept a note in my phone. $347.16. Friday. Friday never came. At first, the spreadsheet was therapy. I called it Family Tab so I wouldn't scream. Summer phone, $69. Mom water, $31. Summer copay, $220. Mom breaks, $380. Summer rent gap, $650. In the notes column, I told myself the truth. Friday, AOL never, no receipt, no repeat. The money wasn't the problem. The assumption was, when Summer met Theo, the ask turned into opportunities. He pitched everything like a TED Talk to someone who couldn't afford a ticket. "We can scale if we consolidate," he told me once, hands steepled over a spreadsheet he printed in 12-point Calibri, like that made it real. "It's silly for you to pay rent when you could invest," he said another time. "You could get points for the wedding. Write it off through your LLC." "My LLC fixes city radios," I said. "It's not a vibes fund." He smiled anyway. What if the family LLC was the umbrella? Mom ate those sentences like candy. "He's so smart," she told me later. "Why can't you be more flexible, Jasmine? Money comes and goes." In our house, money came from me and went to them. The wedding started with an email thread. Team Summer plus Theo plus Dante, planner. Dante was a pro, cheerful subject lines, terrifying spreadsheets, tabs for venue, catering, florals, lighting, experience. Underwriters. Because the hall required a guarantor, someone with credit. Guess who everyone looked at? "The venue holds with 40%, Dante explained. 15,000 non-refundable unless a miracle replacement happens. And the guarantor approves all vendor charges," he added. "That's how your rate stays low." Summer smiled at me like it was already decided. "You'll sign, right?" I paused. "You're the point person," she said quickly. "You're good with details." Me, no. Then I said yes. Just the hall and lighting. I used my repair company account because the venue required a business profile. I made Dante add a clause. No extra charges without my written approval. I paid $50,000 out as a gift. I told myself it was for peace. Then came the add-ons. Champagne wall, flower tunnel, cold spark fountains, live painter, grazing table, late-night taco bar. Each came with urgency. They can hold it if we pay today. Once-in-a-lifetime vibe, non-negotiable. Mostly I said no. "What did we agree?" I asked. "Don't be cheap," Mom texted. "Bro, it's pennies," Theo said about a 5-figure item. "It's not pennies," I said. "It's a used car." Planning nights happened at Mom's house. Dante on mute, Summer writing vibe on a whiteboard like she wanted it to learn fear. "No drama," she said, pointing the marker at me gently. "No tense faces and candids." Mom added, "We want to look like a perfect family in the photos." It sat there and grew mold. A week before the rehearsal dinner, an email slid in while I was at a stoplight. Subject, RSVP revision. I skimmed it and nearly rear-ended a delivery truck. Remove Jasmine Seaman. Per family coordinator. She will not attend the ceremony or dinner. Keep her CC'd for vendor communication. I pulled into a parking lot and breathed into my jacket. When I called Dante, he didn't pretend. "I know," he said. "You didn't cancel yourself." "Does the 50,000 stay?" "It stays." Can I block everything else? Yes. I drafted an email freezing authorizations. I didn't send it. I wanted to see if my mother had the stomach to say family only to my face. She did. And sitting there staring at an empty plate, something shifted. I stopped thinking about how to make this easier for them, and I started thinking about how to make it survivable for me. I didn't send the freeze email that night. Not yet. I wanted proof, not the legal kind, the emotional kind, the kind you can't talk yourself out of later when guilt gets creative. After the rehearsal dinner, my phone stayed face down on the counter while I showered. I let the water run hot enough to fog the mirror, like maybe steam could erase the outline of an empty place at a table. It didn't. The next morning, I woke up with that strange calm you get right before something breaks. My phone had texts. Mom, 6:12 a.m. Last night didn't have to be like that. Summer, 6:18 a.m. You okay? Theo, never. Theo only speaks when there's an audience. I made coffee, burned it, drank it anyway. At 8:04, Dante emailed. Walkthrough confirmed. 10:00 a.m. I stared at the subject line longer than necessary. Then I replied, Can we talk before the walkthrough? 5 minutes. He called immediately. I'm guessing this is about the head count, he said gently. It's about consent, I replied. He exhaled. I figured. He confirmed what I already knew, but needed to hear out loud. Summer and my mother had asked to remove me. From the ceremony, from the dinner, from the photos. They'd said it was simpler. They didn't want tension, Dante explained, using the tone people reserve for unstable weather. And the money? I asked. Locked, as discussed. Any attempts to add vendors? They tried, he admitted. I reminded them only you can authorize. I thanked him and hung up. Then I sat at my kitchen table and opened the spreadsheet. Family tab. It had started as math. Now it read like a diary written in numbers. I scrolled back years. There it was, the pattern I'd pretended was coincidence. Every big family milestone had required my credit, my name, my silence. Birthdays, holidays, emergencies that magically aligned with my paydays. I wasn't invited. I was assigned. At 9:47, my mother called. I let it ring. She left a voicemail anyway. Jasmine, she said, already tired, this wedding is stressful. We don't need negativity. Just be supportive. That's all your sister's asking. Supportive. Like a beam. Something useful but unseen. At the walkthrough, I stood quietly while Summer fluttered between centerpieces and lighting samples like a director blocking a scene. Theo slapped backs, cracked jokes, talked about how crazy planning was. No one mentioned my seat. Dante caught my eye once and raised his eyebrows in a silent, "You okay?" I nodded. I wasn't okay, but I was clear. That afternoon, I drafted 2 documents. Not an email, not a rant. 2 clean labeled options. Because people like my family only understand choices when they're printed. I folded them and slid them into an envelope. That night, back in the restaurant for final run-throughs, the mood was lighter. The humiliation of the rehearsal dinner had already been edited out, rewritten into drama Jasmine caused. I could feel it. Theo was mid-story when I stood up. Not abruptly, not angrily. I waited until a toast ended. Then I said, I need 1 minute. Mom opened her mouth. Not now. Now, I said calmly. The room shifted. I didn't stand at the head of the table. I stayed where I was. Same chair, same empty space in front of me. I want to be very clear, I said, hands steady on the table. I'm not here to make a speech. Theo smirked. Thank God. I'm here to ask one question, I continued, eyes on my mother. Am I family or not? Silence. Real silence this time. Candles crackled. Glass clinked somewhere far away. Mom inhaled sharply. Why are you doing this? Because you already did, I said. I'm just naming it. I slid the envelope onto the table. This is a choice, I said, printed, so no one misremembers. Theo leaned back. This is insane. It's organized, I replied. You'll like it. I pulled out the papers. Option A, Option B. Thick black letters. Labels. Because I work with people who mix parts if you don't. Theo laughed. You think you're a bank? I met his eyes. I think I'm done being one. Summer's smile was gone now. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the paper. This feels cruel, she whispered. No, I said quietly. This is clear. My mother switched voices, the intervention one. You won't force us to choose at dinner. You forced it, I replied, when you told the server I wasn't family. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. Read, I said. And for the first time in my life, they did. They read in silence. No one skimmed. No one joked. I'd formatted it that way on purpose. Short paragraphs, clear consequences, no emotional language to hide behind. Theo was the first to snort. This is manipulative. It's math, I said. You're just not used to seeing it written down. Summer's eyes moved back and forth faster now. She looked like someone reading test results she didn't expect. Mom didn't touch the pages. She stared at the tablecloth instead, lips pressed thin, like if she didn't look at the words they might dissolve. I cleared my throat. Option A, I said calmly. Everything stays as planned. The hall, the date, the lighting, the 50,000 stays as a one-time gift. Theo relaxed immediately. In exchange, I continued, I step out. Completely. No more money, no more emergencies, no more putting my name on anything. I won't attend the wedding, I won't be in photos, I won't be part of the story you tell. Mom's head snapped up. You'd abandon your sister? I'd respect the boundary you already set, I said. Family socially, family financially. They move together. You cut one, you cut both. Summer swallowed. Option B, I went on, not looking at Mom this time. I transfer the contract to you by morning. You become the guarantor. You sign a repayment plan. 50,000 back over 24 months. No interest, no penalties, clean terms. Theo barked out a laugh. Absolutely not. In return, I said evenly, I attend as your sister. I eat dinner. I stand where you place me. And we try being a real family, one with receipts instead of fake harmony. Theo leaned forward. This isn't about money. It's about a plate, I said. That's where you were honest. Summer's voice shook. What does done mean? She asked me quietly. I finally looked at her. It means Mom sends sunsets, I said. Not bills. It means if you need help, you ask someone else. It means my life doesn't get voted on. Her eyes filled. Theo reached across her, grabbing the paper. We'll take option A, the gift, and silence. Wait, Summer said sharply, pulling it back. Theo stared at her. What are you doing? She looked at me the way she used to when I tied her shoes, confused, scared, searching for the version of me that always fixed things. Can I think until morning? She asked. Yes, I said. The hall needs a name by 10. Mom's jaw clenched. This is humiliation. No, I said. This is alignment. Theo scoffed. We're not signing anything with you. Then option A is easy, I replied, sliding the paper closer. Initial here. He didn't hesitate. Mom exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. There, she said. It's decided. Something in my chest loosened. Not relief. Confirmation. Congratulations, I said sincerely, like closing a bracket. I folded option B and slipped it back into my pocket. I took my card off the gift table. Inside, I left a note. I hope your day is everything you keep saying it will be. Theo called after me. Say hi to your spreadsheets. A few people laughed. I didn't. I walked out without slamming the door. In the hallway, Dante stood by the host stand, clipboard tucked to his chest. He gave me the smallest nod. Minutes later, my phone buzzed. Option A received. Boundaries in place at 12:00 a.m. In the elevator, my hands finally stopped shaking. I stared at my reflection. Tired eyes, steady spine. For the first time since I was 19, I wasn't managing anyone else's feelings. I was managing mine. The wedding day came and went without me. I didn't wake up to alarms or group chats or frantic calls about missing cufflinks. I did laundry, fixed a laptop for full price, walked down to the river that smells like pennies and heat and old steel. At 2:00, Dante texted, Florals cut, band dropped a break. They're telling people you had to work. Let them, I wrote back. At 5, my mother sent a photo of a sunrise with the caption, God provides. No apology, no question. I tapped a heart and went back to my book. At 11:40, Summer messaged. We did it. Then, a minute later, I'm scared you won't be in my life. I stared at the screen until the words stopped pulling at me. I'll be in mine, I typed. You're welcome when you can be kind without borrowing. At 12:00 a.m., Dante confirmed the contracts had been transferred. Be well, Jasmine. A week later, an envelope showed up in my mailbox. Inside was $120 and a sticky note. For that flight. Sorry it took so long. I kept the note, not the money. Mom buzzed every apartment in my building one afternoon. I texted her the word email. She left oranges and another note. Don't let them make you bitter. I ate the oranges, threw away the note. Weeks later, the wedding album went live. Perfect lighting, perfect smiles, no seat for me. That was fine. Most of my life doesn't photograph. Summer and I text sometimes now. Coffee, weather, plants that survive without money attached. It feels lighter, realer. Boundaries didn't fix my family. They fixed me, and that was enough.